Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 97. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside
Mike, the other host.
Mike,
the other host! I don't know. I feel like I need to be more exciting when I do. The other host! I don't know.
So Mike was not home last week and was tired, so he's like, I can't do a show.
It's called the holidays. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, geez. We're not going to get into that. We have an awesome interview on the show. Hold on. But we got to get people to stick around before we do our shitty banter, so give me a second, okay? They want to know there's actually something coming to the show. Hello, everyone, and guess what? We have Mark Russell on the show today, and if you're wondering who Mark Russell is, he is the wonderful writer of DC Comics and Ahoy Comics, and he's got a book coming out for Vertigo, so if you read Prez, if you read Flinstones, if you're excited for the new Wonder Twins book, stick around for an interview with Mark Russell. Okay, now to our shitty
Mark
banter.
is one of those guys that not a lot of people know, but more people should know because he's such a great writer.
He should.
He's just all the books he's written are fantastic, and he's got some cool sounding books coming in the near future. So, yeah stay
really
tuned for that. But
right,
so Mike was a little hungover from the holidays, as was I. I'm not gonna lie.
Holiday hangover? Sure, yeah. Yep.
So did you make any big Black Friday purchases?
No, because I came to this weird... Well, actually, I bought some work clothes at JCPenney.
Oh.
Yeah, and I didn't... My sister bought them for my Christmas. That was my Christmas gift. Yeah, that was a nice little surprise. But no, I had this realization that I was like, oh, man, 50-inch TV is only $200. Oh, 55-inch TV, you're super cheap. And then I had the realization is like, it's not a sale if I didn't need all this stuff to begin with. I'm just going to spend money that I wasn't going to spend money on. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the realization I was having recently because we were talking about getting like a 4K TV and all that bullshit for tax season. And then I started thinking like, we're adults now, and I need like a snowblower and stuff. So probably not getting the new TV.
But if you hurt your back from shoveling, it'll be an awesome TV to watch when you're laying on the couch.
That is true.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to really think the pros and cons here. Come on.
But this is how you know you're getting old, kids. This is when you're like, man, that snowblower looks really cool.
You know what's funny? It's funny you brought up snowblower. I can say this because my mom doesn't listen to the show. At least she makes me think that she doesn't. But my sister and I are trying to decide what we should get her as like a last gift. And snowblower comes up, and apparently you can buy a snowblower on Amazon. Not only can you buy a snowblower on Amazon, hold on, wait for this. It comes with 2-day shipping through Prime. So. And what world do we live in? And then I had this like really messed up realization that like there's so much cheap labor involved with assembling a snowblower somewhere in some country right now. There's a tribe of people assembling a snowblower just so I could, buy it really cheap through Amazon and have it to my house in 2 days.
A tribe of people.
I don't know. It made me think of like, I don't know. It's not happening over in the US. It definitely wasn't manufactured here. That's all I know.
See, my brain immediately goes to who's delivering this because now that Amazon is doing their like Uber-esque delivery service, I'm just like, who has the space for that?
Who's making it? And who's a third party carrying my package? Oh man, I'm sure it was. I don't know. I'm sure it was assembled at all. I'm sure it's completely fine.
I'm sure there's no assembly required too, right?
Yeah, it's not just a box of parts that they ship.
You probably just get like 8 different packages, all with different parts. And then you realize that one's missing, and you gotta call Amazon and be like, "Yo, Mr. Amazon, where's my other parts?" And
if anybody's curious, you can buy. You don't have to even drive to the store to buy a snowblower anymore. They'll just ship it to you in 2 days.
I want to find the most ridiculous thing to order from Amazon like the biggest, most monstrosity of a thing to buy and get it shipped to my house.
It's got to be like a trampoline or a pool. You should be able to buy a pool. You definitely could buy a swimming pool.
On a similar note, so one of my good buddies works for the GameStop here in town. Yeah. And his assistant manager thought it'd be really hilarious to pre-order this candle for Red Dead Redemption 2. And the candle costs $300. I don't know why. It's a regular candle and it smells like shit, but it's $300. And his whole thing was, I'm going to pre-order it and then cancel it a day before it comes out so the store is stuck with it. So then I realized that if you go on GameStop's website, you can pre-order a Snorlax beanbag chair that's big enough for a full-size adult to sit in.
Oh, wow.
And so now I really want to pre-order that at a store just so he's stuck with a giant beanbag chair of Snorlax they used to put somewhere.
You want to bring it home. That's what you want.
I do want to bring it home, but the missus might leave me after that one.
Yeah, that might be the last straws when you bring home a giant Snorlax to sleep. She's like, and you can sleep on it because you're not welcome anymore.
Everybody, we'll talk about comic shit in a minute, but we haven't seen each other in like 2 weeks. So last night was my company holiday party.
Wow.
And I did not realize going into this party that there was an open bar. And I get really loud when I drink. Like,
was it open soda bar? Because it's Pepsi, right? Is your company?
All I know is I asked for Jack and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me a bottle that had pretty much only Jack Daniels in it. And it was a good time. So I'm pretty sure on Monday I'm going to be fired. And so everybody go to patreon.com/FortressComicNews so I can live. But it was a good night.
Awesome. I didn't do anything that exciting, but man. Wow. I caught up on Flash.
I did that hungover this morning.
Yeah. And with that, let's kick it to the news. TV. Jeff Lemire's Sweet Tooth and Black Hammer are both picked up for TV. And I'm pretty sure, didn't we say Gideon Falls is already picked up too?
Yeah, that was picked up a while ago.
So pretty much you're never going to see Jeff Lemire on our show again. It was nice knowing you, dude. Thanks for being on the show that one time. And now look at that. You were on Fortress Comic News once, and now you're famous. So yeah, we got 100% success rating on Kickstarter and 100% success rating.
And we got Jeff Lemire the TV deal. Plus, Black Hammer is also optioned for a movie as well. So
right. So you're welcome for that too.
Thank you.
I guess the gift that keeps on giving. Fortress Comic News.
So I'm down for this. I mean, Black Hammer would be a cool one. Although
you know who has
it out, like they do in the comics.
Calls and emails about being on the show, though.
Who's that?
Charlie Cox from Daredevil, because Daredevil's been canceled this week, folks.
We're not going to make it to 100.
No, we're not. So I was trying to spin it. I was trying to make it a fun thing. It wasn't a fun thing. Daredevil's been canceled. We've talked. People are making a big deal about it, but it's honestly, we talked about it. They're going to come out with a Heroes for Hire show. It's like classic Disney Marvel trying to create a demand for the show. They're not going to cancel it. I mean, this is coming from the company that's made they're making a Star Wars movie every year, and now they're making 2 different Star Wars live action TV shows. Like, they know how to capitalize on stuff.
See, here's my theory, because I still think the Heroes for Hire thing's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But all of this is just going to transfer over to Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah. That's how they do it.
They said all these characters are going to live on in some way, and then they also said, because everyone's like, oh, so you're going to make a Daredevil movie then? I'm like, no, we're not making a fucking Daredevil movie. Why would we do that?
No, shut up.
So I really think that Disney Plus is going to be the home for all this soon. We got Jessica Jones coming up, and then Punisher. And I'm going to save everybody a whole lot of hassle, a whole lot of time. Those are going to get canceled weeks after they launch. I'm just letting you all know.
It's going to happen.
So let's save the whole save Jessica or save Punisher hashtags and just realize it's going to happen. Like, you have a little bit of time to understand and come to terms. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we told you first, so. Well, anyways, Daredevil's gone, so get over it. Blade Runner anime. Because I haven't seen much of anything serious come to Adult Swim in a while. I'm guessing it's going to be a serious cartoon, right? I mean,
they got that. Don't they do like Toonami now at like midnight or some crap?
Yeah, but it's like I'm not staying up that late. They do like all the good shows come out at like 2 or 3 a.m. It's awful.
Yeah, so it won't affect me until I see a Blu-ray.
It's not even Adult Swim anymore. It's like who's up at like 3 a.m. watching that stuff? Yeah, it's more like meth head swim. Like, I feel like only tweakers are up that late at night, man. You know, like I don't know.
I got a bit of work in the morning, so you want Adult Swim? Like, give me a show at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that's like, more adult time. Like, responsible Adult Swim is like put the shows on from like 6 to 8 at night, and like, you know, everybody's winding down from their 9 to 5er, and you're with the kids and make dinner, and there you go.
I'm pretty sure I watched more Adult Swim as a child than I do as an actual adult.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said there. I think maybe if the title Adult Swim is created all ironically, then everything we said was completely garbage. So, if Cartoon Network, if you're listening, please drop us an email. Let us know.
We accept sponsorships as well.
Is Adult Swim a sarcastic name? Anyways, yeah, so there's an anime coming out. I still need to watch the movie, 2049. Runaways Season 2 trailer. What do you think about that? You watched this first season, right?
I did, and I really liked it. So it looked like more of the same, basically where we left off with the last season. They're going to introduce a few new characters. I'm down. The first season was great. If you haven't checked it out, it's definitely worth watching. And I'll be there December 21st.
What platform do you watch this on?
It's exclusively on Hulu.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I caught up on Flash, and I I was a little worried when this episode title came out this week, or yeah, technically this week or last week, because it was the holiday episode. But yeah, for a holiday episode, it kind of had a lot of. I mean, it wasn't really a filler episode, which is kind of strange. I think they pulled a fast one on us there, because usually the holiday episode is just them messing around. But we get to see the origin of Cicada.
Yeah.
And basically how like Barry Allen just ruined his life. I don't know. It seems like what I got from it was when the satellite exploded, they blew the satellite up, right? But like, apparently Barry Allen doesn't feel bad at all about the parts of the satellite that came crashing down and killing people. I don't know. I guess it's like the whole greater good thing, right?
Yeah, it was strange that like he has no comment about that.
Yeah, they never addressed it, and I'm thinking like, oh wow, if this was like really big chunks like exploding and hitting people, like pretty sure more people are going to be dead. And then they started talking about like the FEMA sites in the city. I'm like, wow, there was that many people injured. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, wow,
it's super strange, but
yeah.
I think this whole episode is basically we find out the origin of Cicada, and then the team finds out who Cicada is, and you can cut all the weather wizard crap out of there.
Yeah,
because I didn't care.
Yeah. I think it's more important that we have a wizard witch, a weather witch.
Yeah. So yeah, weather wizard's daughter is the weather witch. And she wanted to kill her father because reasons, and she wasn't able to, so she's going to destroy the whole city to kill her father, and the Flash wins. And then we got the thing with Flash and his daughter, and I don't know, all that like didn't do much for me. I kind of wish this was more of a Netflix style and they got rid of the filler episodes. Because when we get to those, not that this was really a filler episode, but it had like filler portions to it.
Yeah.
It's like really all we care about was Cicada and where he came from and that the team finds out who he is. But so it was an okay episode, but a lot of filler for me.
Yeah. And we find out that Cicada, it's not his daughter, it's technically his niece.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's the only show I'm still watching. I started watching Trailer Park Boys. That show is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm on like season 6. I've been powering through that. Yeah, so this week, DC announced that there's a Blue Beetle movie in development, which is... It's kind of random that they're just like, hey, Blue Beetle. But it doesn't, I don't think it's going to be Ted Kord, it sounds like.
No, it's going to be the second, or I don't know my Blue Beetle knowledge, so excuse me, hardcore Blue Beetle fans. But it's, whoever the most recent one is.
They said it's going to be a Latino American, right? Latin American lead role, which is pretty cool.
Basically, at this point, if you tell me that DC and Marvel has a superhero property that they're going to make a movie, I'm not that shocked anymore.
Can Michael Pena play Blue Beetle?
Yes.
Right now, like, give him that. It'd be so great because he, like, the latest Ant-Man, he talks about having a suit, right? So make him Blue Beetle. Like, I know he's supposed to be a little younger, but
the only problem with this announcement for me is, and I sound like a broken record, but that James Gunn's not attached to it.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, please just let James Gunn take care of this and make it a buddy cop movie with Booster Gold.
Yeah,
Nathan Fillion is Booster Gold.
That leads into a JLI movie. Like, you've got Gold sitting right there.
Yeah, just take advantage of it.
But if I may rewind back to TV, I did watch the last episode of Walking Dead.
Oh, mid-season break already happened?
Yeah, so...
What happens?
Basically, what you need to know is that all of the different settlements are not happy with each other, so that's why they're doing the big, like, festival thing. And in trying to get Eugene back, Daryl, Jesus, and the other dude with one arm find him, run into the Whispers, and we kind of get our introduction to what's going on. So one of them ends up killing Jesus, and Daryl tears the mask off of one of their dead bodies, and we find out the Whispers are what they are. It was an okay episode, but basically all I know is Whispers are here, Jesus is dead, and we move on.
Interesting.
So
that's an interesting character to just kill off, but okay.
So all in all, for the first half of the season, it's been kind of the typical Walking Dead problem, which is set up, mid-season break, bam, now you're excited. So that the second half can be successful. And it was a lot of like, how can we've separated all the characters, now we have to bring them all back together. And I feel like in this season particularly, they're really going out of their way to kill like major characters.
Yeah.
So I'm a little confused with that. I mean, I think the Rick thing is interesting because it does really kind of make this an Earth 2 situation because Rick is never going to die in the comic.
Right.
But yeah, getting rid of Jesus and getting rid of Maggie was weird. And a few other ones. Like, they're major characters who I don't think should have left quite yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a big shit show right now for that show. What it seems like.
Still enjoyable, though.
All right, so now we are going to cut to an awesome interview with Mark Russell. So everybody listen up to that, and then we'll see you on the other side.
Hey guys, Chris here, interrupting the show real quick. Remember, if you want to show your support for Force Comic News, head on down to patreon.com/ForceComicNews, where just $1 a month gets you access to our Slack channel where we can talk comics all day and all night, and exclusive Patreon podcast that we're uploading very soon. A series of games that we play with all the great guests we have here on Force Comic News. You're going to get one of those every month, and just $1 a month gets it for you. So remember, that's the best way to show your support there and to help a growing community and to be a part of it with us. So everybody, thanks for your support, and on with the show.
And welcome back, everybody. Today we have a very special guest, writer of one of my favorite books from this year, The Flinstones, Mr. Mark Russell. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hi, thank you.
Hey man, welcome to the show. Yeah, like we always do with interviews, we like to get a little bit of an origin story of what got you into writing comics. Have you always collected comics or read comics when you were younger? What's your origin story, Mark?
Well, prepare to be underwhelmed. I had written a couple of non-comic books about the Bible, of all things. I wrote a book in which I sort of truncated and modernized the Bible called God is Disappointed in You.
Yep.
And one of the people who had a copy of this book was an editor at DC Comics. Her name is Marie Havens, would later become my editor at DC for a number of projects. And they wanted to reboot Prez, which I don't know if you're familiar with the origins of Prez, but it was like a comic book that ran for about 4 issues in 1973. They thought with the election coming up in 2016, it'd be funny to sort of reboot Prez because it was sort of bomb that barely existed in 1973. Yeah. Right. But they were thinking, well, who do we have that can write some like political, sort of satirical things? And then Marie just suggested me because I had written this book, and they said, well, why not? It's not like handing him the good jewelry or anything. It's not like giving him the family car. Yeah, let him see what he can do with Prez. So they hired me to write Prez, which I did for 6 issues, and then they were happy enough with that they started giving me more work. Yeah. So it was a story of sort of coming in through the side door. I wasn't one of these who went to cons and was always showing my portfolio or was always pitching stuff. I never pitched any comics before Prez, but they liked my book enough that they gave me a chance on a comic, and then they liked that comic enough that they gave me a chance to write other comics.
That's awesome. So I remember when Prez got announced in our comic shop, we were sitting there like, what was this book? And then it's just like what you said. It was 4 issues in the 70s. It was kind of like, blink and it's gone. And then but I picked it up in the trade after it all came out because I heard such good things about it. So let's talk about that. Do you want to give just a quick rundown of what that book was?
Yeah, it was basically the story of a teenager who just elected president. And when the original Prez came out, it was after the 26th Amendment had just been passed, and 18-year-olds had the right to vote. Yep. I think there was a lot of people in America who had this sort of hippie fear. Like they saw the Vietnam War protests and the sit-ins and stuff. They thought, oh, great, now these people can vote. They're just going to we're going to have a hippie president. They're going to take over. But unfortunately, that never happened. Yeah. So this is about sort of like the future when the hippies failed to take over, and it's this sort of bleak dystopian future. And they now have elections via Twitter, which allows one girl named Beth to get elected, Beth Ross to get elected because she gets viral at the right moment. She becomes president. And it's really about like someone who's outside the political system, an amateur, getting elected president at a time when I imagine a good thing.
Yeah. It strangely all matches up to like a certain timeline that we're living right now. Yeah, and it just happened to be like that. It was awesome. It's a really good read.
Yeah, do you remember a time where we actually wanted that to happen?
Yeah, right. We had somebody who didn't know anything get in the office, not be beholden to the 2-party system. Yeah, I would love to go back to those days. Being that.
It was all when it was a dream.
Yep. It's so funny to be reading it and like, living through it while it's happening too. Awesome. Yeah. So Prez took off, and then Flintstones came after that, right?
Right. Yeah. Based upon that, I think partly as an apology for canceling Prez, they gave me the Flintstones as part of the new Hanna-Barbera line that DC was doing. So I said, well, if to me, I didn't really enjoy the Flintstones. I thought it was really kind of a crummy cartoon when I was a kid. I don't remember ever really watching it very. If I had any other option, but at the same time, I kind of felt like, but it allows me to write the things I want to write about. It's just not the property I wanted to write. Yeah. So that's kind of been my philosophy of writing ever since. Is like, don't worry about the job you're given as long as it allows you to write about the sorts of things you want to write. You can take any property and make it good. So I really wanted to make the Flintstones about sort of the critical errors made at the formation of civilization. Sort of these fundamental errors that have led civilization to the sort of corrupt and messed up place it is now.
Awesome.
Basically, I blame it all on Bedrock.
What was what did DC say when they gave you guys those properties? Because it seemed like everybody kind of went in their own direction. Was it just, here's the Flintstones, do what you want, or did they have an idea of what they were looking for?
Yeah, pretty much the former. They just like, well, I don't know. Here's the Flintstones. Do with it what you want. There's really no continuity or anything. And I said, well, I got to be honest. I'm not really a big fan of the Flintstones. They're like, oh, good, you'll be perfect.
Awesome
thing. So I did. I took that as a challenge, and I took the ball and I ran with it, and I just remade it completely in my own image.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really great how that whole series was. It's the quote unquote modern Stone Age family, but you took the modern part really seriously, and I like the commentary with the between the Flintstones and the Cro-Magnums, talking about racism, and then all the other different kinds of political and social issues we have in today's age. That's what made the book so great, because I'm with you. I was not a Flintstones fan, but I love the idea of all these Hanna-Barbera books and doing something new and different with them.
Yeah, I think the thing I really like about science fiction as a medium, I consider the Flintstones science fiction, is that it allows you to sort of talk about people in the abstract. It allows you to sort of like talk about what's wrong with people without them getting defensive about it. You just set it on another planet, or you set it in another time, or characters who can do things that they can't do. And then all of a sudden, people will then still see themselves in it. They still see what you're saying with it, but they don't feel like they're being hit over the head. They don't feel like they're under attack because you've said it, 40,000 years ago in the past.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Was that book, were you done with what you wanted to do with it? Is that why it ended?
Yeah, I thought initially I wanted to end it after a pretty limited trial, because I wanted to end while it was still good. This kind of like David Mamet has a great quote about television. He said, like, writing a play is like running a marathon, and writing for television is like running until you die. I didn't want the Flintstones to be like running until I died. I wanted it to be like, oh, I run a marathon and now I'm finished, and it was still good and fresh to me when it ended. I never want to be in a situation where I'm just like, turning the crank or just looking for stories to send people. I want to write while it's still vital and fresh. And if it's not meaningful to me, or if I don't have something I'm burning to say, then I probably should stop that title and move on to something else. I'm not saying I wouldn't come back to it at some point, but I just wanted to make sure that I could end it when it was still meant something.
Awesome. And it shows you're doing a lot of different variety of stuff here, and that kind of goes into what you kind of been doing over at Ahoy. So is that something like you're a project you're having fun with, like writing short stories for them, and then coming on with the Edgar Allan Poe book too?
Yeah, working with Ahoy has been a blast, because they allow me to like dust off a lot of the short stories and weird sort of funny things I'd written before I was writing comics. And use them, and that's what I kind of like about their project too. Is like, it's not just one thing. it's comics married with short, prose stories.
Yep.
It's got like sort of it's very literary and at the same time kind of silly and goofy. It's not any one thing. So it's a good sort of place for people who write things that are a little outside the norm of what you'd expect from comics or prose. And then I'm doing a series with them called Billionaire Island, which is kind of like Prez. In fact, I'm using some of the storylines I didn't get to use in Prez because it got canceled. I'm taking those, I'm using them in Billionaire Island, which is about the near future when there's this artificial island in the Gulf of Mexico that's owned and inhabited by billionaires because it's in international waters. They're not beholden to any laws. They don't have to pay taxes. And, they have like a movie studio that hires like all the disgraced actors from the Me Too movement.
Oh, man.
They all go to this like island international waters to continue working in the film industry because they're not beholden. In fact, the name of the studio is called Don't Give a Shit Studios.
Oh, my God.
They just hire everyone who no longer legally or for whatever reason work in the United States. They go work in Don't Give a Shit Studios, Billionaire Island.
Wow.
And it's about this billionaire who's under investigation for this thing he did. And so he invites the journalist out to his house on Billionaire Island. And when the journalist goes out there, he asks her to go wait in the media room. And she goes in there only to find out once she's gone in there, she's been locked in this giant hamster cage.
Oh, my God.
There's sawdust on the floor. There's like an exercise wheel. There's a giant water tank in the wall you have to suckle water from. And he basically just, anytime somebody like has got something on him and or is becoming problematic, he asks them to go wait in the media room, and then they're locked in this hamster cage.
Wow.
He's with all like, and so it's a lot. It's again sort of social and satirical.
Yeah.
But the same sort of spirit as Prez, but a little more off the wall.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'm putting that one on my pull list. I think you sold Chris too. Chris looks real excited for it. That's awesome.
Well, honestly, you become one of those writers for me in just a few books where if I see your name pop up, I'm gonna try it out. So that book sounds fantastic, but I probably would have tried it out anyways. On that note, Wonder Twins. Why Wonder Twins?
Well, for one, the main reason is that is part of Brian Michael Bendis' Wonderline. So
Yeah.
I respect what he does. I really like what he does, and I know that as a writer, he's somebody who would let me take some chances with it. In fact, that was kind of how he initially approached me with it. It's like, I want you to not worry about continuity. I want you to focus on telling the stories you want to tell using these characters, and that was really all I needed to hear. That, and I just have always really liked the Wonder Twins. I remember when I was a kid, my main exposure to like DC characters was Super Friends, and I liked the Wonder Twins and Gleek, and it was a chance to sort of write this sort of comic for teenagers that in a way that people don't really normally write for teenagers. It's the way I kind of think of it is it's like the after school special they never would have made in a million years, but should have.
That's interesting. So, like, what can we expect from your Wonder Twins? I guess.
Well, the first issue, which comes out in February, is about them just sort of like it's about the awkwardness of youth, about them basically being interns at the Hall of Justice, and
yes, Zan sold. That's all you see.
Yeah, okay. Well, I won't say anymore. No,
you can, please.
but and then Zan has something really humiliating happen to him in high school, and he's thinking, oh, I can never go back there again. And this is something we've all gone through, where we've done something, so we've spilled the chili on the floor, and we think we're done socially. No one's going to want to be seen with us. No girl's ever going to want to go out with us.
Yep.
And he's really upset. But then Superman and Batman start telling him stories about how they had similar humiliations in high school. And then Batman's like, oh, don't worry, you probably won't even know these people in 2 years. It's kind of what I wish I could have told myself when I was like 15 or 16 years old, not to be so worried about embarrassing yourself in high school because everybody's going to do it. and B, that's the time you should be, not very self-conscious and just being yourself, because the stakes are really so low. You're not even going to know those people after you graduate.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
That sounds great.
That is a great storyline to follow. So how was that for you? Because you said you liked the Wonder Twins going into this project. So like, is this a lot easier for you to write or adapt your stories because you like these characters, as opposed to like Flintstones, where you were like, I guess I'll use them, but I wasn't a huge fan. So is this a lot more fun for you to work with these characters?
Well, they're both pretty fun. I think for me, what you do is you find, if you don't like a character or you weren't really a huge fan of a character, you find the thing you liked about the character, or you find the thing you liked about the series. And for me with the Flintstones, the things I liked about the Flintstones was I liked the fact that Fred was just sort of this blue-collar everyman, and I liked the fact that I liked the animal appliances. To me, it was like one of the darkest things I'd ever seen. The fact that you have this little bird living inside a camera, and it only comes out when you need to take a picture, and then it goes right back into the camera. This little stone box. And so I kind of built the story around those two things, like Fred just being this blue collar everyman, and then basically the animal slavery that goes on in the Flintstones. And so the Wonder Twins is like that too, except there's much more I like about the Wonder Twins, so it just gives me a lot more to sort of draw upon. And I draw upon the fact that they're in training and they're really sort of low level superheroes, so they aren't ready for prime time. So they sent them against like this sort of B league of supervillains called the League of Annoyance. And part of their training is they have to take down the supervillains in the League of Annoyance, which is like the sort of over the hill, not quite up to snuff like supervillains.
Wow.
There's a vampire who is also an alcoholic. They call him Druncula, and because he's an alcoholic vampire, he really wants to suck the blood out of people who've been drinking.
Oh my god, this is great. This just gets better and better.
But yeah, and it's like one of the supervillains they have to face. But the supervillains they end up going against have like their own sort of like tragic backstories. Wow. And you kind of sympathize with them at the same time you're rooting for the Wonder Twins.
This is great for Chris and I. We used to have a segment on the show where we talk about shitty villains and like some of their origins are so sad. And a lot of them are DC properties that are like from the 70s and 60s that nobody talks about anymore.
Yeah, I've got shitty villains aplenty in the Wonder Twins. I'm not sure if they're going to let me use all of them. Like I have one guy who, and again, I'm not sure if they'll let me get away with this, but he is a lion. He's like half man, half lion. His face and his name is Lion L. Richie. And
oh, that is awesome.
His face kind of like vaguely resembles Lionel Richie's face.
That is great.
So I got to make the pitch that I make to all the DC writers we have in the show. The best shitty villain we found that needs to return. His name is Codpiece.
Oh, wow.
Have you heard of this villain?
Already. Is he actually a cod?
So he's a man with a codpiece, and it has different. It's like the Batman utility belt of codpiece. So he can like shoot lasers out of it, and he has like a drill in it, and all kinds of crazy shit in there.
They should actually make that. I mean, the actual codpiece, not the villain. I'd buy that.
Oh yeah, we're trying to. I
was hoping it would be like a fish man with a codpiece.
Oh,
like he's part cod.
You should transform this villain and make him a giant fish man.
that'd
be great.
I'd be down for that too, as long as the word codpiece gets put in there. I don't even care. But it's a ridiculous villain from like the middle of the Doom Patrol run, like right at the end of Grant Morrison's run.
No, it was actually after Grant Morrison.
That explains everything.
Yeah.
I think I forget the woman's name, but it was the woman that took the series on after Grant Morrison, so he didn't actually create it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great though.
What a strange
I'm
film.
with you. I'll sign your petition to bring Codpiece back.
Awesome.
Maybe I'll have him show up in the Wonder Twins, like in the background or something.
Oh man, I'm gonna be looking for it.
I'll buy 50 copies.
Okay, so let's talk
I have
about
a scene. Actually, I just was writing a scene where it's like they're having like this superhero supervillain mixer, like to give them a chance to sort of like hang out. And there's just all these people like, just sort of like the Flash is like working the turntable. He's like DJing. Maybe I'll have Codpiece like in the background by the punch bowl or something.
Oh my! If
it,
Chris is when he sends you your email about the show tonight, he's gonna send you an email with all the info on Codpiece.
Excellent.
It's just gonna be like an attachment that he's gonna put there for you. This is great. Okay, so you did have something come out this week, though, right? You had a hand in writing part of the DC Nuclear Winter Special.
Yeah. I wrote the sort of connective tissue, the story about Rip Hunter as the time traveler, and he's recharging his time sphere at the ruins of the Google campus in the post-apocalyptic future when he's confronted by cannibalistic mutants, former Google employees who have been reduced to cannibalism. And in order to forestall them from eating him, he has to tell them these stories, sort of like 1001 Nights. He has to tell them these stories about other DC superheroes to entertain them, or basically just stall them from eating him. And that's how you get the rest of the stories in the special.
It's so good, and you got to do your little twist on there of how it be like you said, post-apocalyptic Google employees. So we could see like one of the guys has to take a fall for the company. They're like, "Oh, we just need a scapegoat, dude."
Yeah.
That was great. So any other projects you want to talk about?
Let's see. We already talked about the Wonder Twins. I've also got a Vertigo title coming up in 2019 called Second Coming.
Nice.
And it's about Jesus Christ coming back to Earth, and God sends him back to Earth because a superhero has come to planet Earth. Basically, sort of like a Superman-like superhero, a visitor from another planet with he's basically omnipotent and immortal. And this guy is like more like how God imagined Jesus would be when he first came to Earth. And so he's kind of disappointed with how things went for Jesus the first time around. So he sends him down to go live with this guy, character called Sunman, and to basically learn from him. But in a way, they kind of like form this symbiotic exchange because Sunman begins to learn sort of the shortcomings of his approach of just using his power and physical violence to solve the world's problems. He realizes that 99% of the world's problems just can't be solved that way. And that's where, Jesus gives him some pointers like how you actually need to have some empathy and some compassion for people to change the world. It can't just be throwing people through plate glass windows all the time. That only works on a very small subset of earthly problems.
Someone needs to tell that.
I remember.
I'm all for throwing somebody.
You go ahead, Mark.
I'm all for throwing people through plate glass windows. It's just you got to be selective about it.
You just can't throw everybody through there.
No, not every problem.
Yeah. What were you saying, Chris?
So if somebody doesn't have health insurance, it doesn't matter who you throw through a plate glass window. It's not going to help.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when they announced the new slate of Vertigo books, and this is of no offense to any of the other creators there, none of them really did anything for me, and I did not realize that book was by you, but that was the one book I picked out of it. I'm just like, this has got me written all over it.
Yeah,
I am more excited knowing that it's you writing it now.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's going to be pretty nutty, and it's half about a deconstruction of Christian theology and half a deconstruction of superheroes.
Yeah, sounds
amazing.
That's something that we don't do enough of in comics, at least in my opinion, is the Christian mythology and kind of doing stuff with that, whether it's deconstructing it or, what the Ahoy guys are doing with High Heaven.
Yeah.
And there's something about Christian mythology, even as someone who is not in any way religious, that just I really enjoy reading about. And
well, I think every mythology is, at its heart, like the tale of a dysfunctional family. Yeah. And so there's that going for it. But yeah, it's such a huge part of our culture. It seems kind of like really weird to not talk about it more.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, you sound pretty busy with all this stuff coming up. So.
Oh yeah, I'm super busy.
Yeah, where can everybody find you if they want to get in touch or see what you're up to?
Best way is through Twitter. I pretty much put everything on Twitter. So at Manruss, at MANRUSS is my handle. Follow me there and you'll find out everything where I'm going to be showing up at cons and what projects they have coming out. I also do a lot of sneak peek things like artwork which hasn't been officially released yet, or little lines from stories on Twitter. So that's really the best place.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
So everybody make sure to go check out Flintstones. Pick up Wonder Twins when it comes out. Second Coming, just everything. Go buy it. It's great. Check it out. And make sure to check them out on Twitter as well. And Mark, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And,
thank you.
We'll have to have you again sometime because, there's a ton to talk about.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, thanks, guys.
And we're back.
Woohoo! Man, busy guy that Mark Russell is, and he's got some, great stories, and everybody should know that name. When you think comics, think Mark Russell, great writer, great guy, very nice gentleman.
Yes. And that book, Second Coming, man, I completely forgot it existed. And then he brought it up, and it brought so much excitement. You can probably hear it in my voice when I screech.
I'm excited for Wonder Twins because we're getting codpiece.
If I pick up an issue of Wonder Twins, and I don't care if he's in the background drinking punch, if he's in there, you're going to hear me from Massachusetts scream.
I'm going to hear it, and I'm going to post about it. It's going to be like, we convinced this guy to put codpiece in by the punch bowl, and his codpiece is in the punch bowl. Oh
man! And my podcasting career is hit critical mass at that point.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm actually putting Wonder Twins on my pull list after his description. I'm really excited. So, anyways, let's talk comic news. Marvel's making a League of Legends comic. It's okay, Riot Games, slow down there. Dota's already done that, all right? So, nothing new to see here.
Yeah, I've been to a bunch of... it's been a few years, so I guess it could have changed, but I know League has, a really big presence in that world.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally don't care. So... good on them if it makes them money. Do what you gotta do.
They're gonna make a lot of money from it, I'm sure.
I'm shocked that it's not Dark Horse doing it. That the biggest surprise here is that Marvel is doing it.
Yeah, I think that's strange because so Valve owns Dota, and somehow Dark Horse was the ones to write the comics for Dota. So it makes sense to me that Dark Horse wouldn't write the comic for League of Legends because they're basically rivals. So I don't understand how Dark Horse acquired the Dota comics to begin with, and I don't understand how Marvel acquired the League of Legends. But it would make sense that DC would have control of one and Marvel would have control of the other. It's almost like, DC got a hold of one, so Marvel's we got to capitalize on this one, I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's the classic Marvel DC.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah, because they're both owned by gaming companies. I don't know.
It's just, Marvel has its own thing, and they acquired Star Wars, which, may not be a huge comic presence, but it's a very steady comic presence. And then, you're introducing Conan here soon, and Conan's got a rabid fan base. Yeah. And on top of that, you're putting probably one of the top 5 writers in the industry on the Conan book. I think that whole property is going to blow up here next year. So throwing this one out here, I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of throwing a bunch of shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, but it does seem strange to me.
Yeah. If the League fans are like Dota fans, they're going to be, these are going to be flying off the shelves for sure. Yeah, so Tom King's taking a break from Batman on issues 64 and 65 during the crossover event. I guess it's not totally surprising. I mean, the guy's been on it for 63 issues, so.
Yeah, and he said he's got like 103 issues, I think, that he's doing. So, I don't know. It's crossing over with Flash. It's got some Heroes in Crisis tie-in with it. I don't know the whole story, and I don't read either of those books on the regular, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, so what did we read this week, Chris?
Oh, man. So, I'm going to start off because I got one book from 2 weeks ago that I didn't talk about. And I'm going to try to go fast because we do got a lot of books here. But Avengers number 10, it's Avengers number 10, but it's also the 700th issue, so yay. It's kind of tidying up a lot of plot lines, and we're getting... basically the Russian Avengers are being formed back together, and they're doing their thing. So we got this Russian team, we've got Namor's Defenders, and then we got the Avengers all kind of coming together and duking it out for territory. But the two big plot lines here are the Avengers have decided that they're not really affiliated with a country. They're meant to defend the world.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of that, the U.S. government has decided, like, we no longer have the Avengers. We need a team to protect the United States. Because they see the Russians getting their team, and it's kind of turning into this global politics thing. And who else would the United States government pick if not the Squadron Supreme? So I'm really excited because I love the Squadron Supreme. Like, it's just Marvel doing Justice League.
Yep. Basically.
And that's really cool. And then the book kind of ends with the new Avenger who's going to join the team and help the team out, and it's going to be Blade. So, tons going on in this book. It's like a double-sized issue. It was really great, and it got me super excited for what's to come for Avengers. So I'll toss over to you. What'd you read this week?
The DC Nuclear Winter Special came out this week. That was pretty cool. We talked with Mark Russell a little bit about it. I mean, there's some cool stories. There's some other stories in there that I don't really care about, like Commandy. Not a huge fan of him ever. But there's a good one with, like, Superman 1 Million was in it.
Wow.
Yeah. They do like there's a good story, like old school Green Lantern, and all the new heroes are around, and it's just him left. And he goes to like this Christmas party at the Hall of Justice, and he sees Dinah Lance there, and they start talking about their past and stuff. There's some really good stories. Yeah, it's just fun, and it's not like happy-go-lucky Christmas stories that I think they were last year. These are kind of like dark, depressing Christmas stories. So yeah, that was pretty good. Action Comics 1005 came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty cool issue. We get Superman's trying to investigate what's going on with the random fires happening around town. And also this weird red cloud that's killing people. Well, while the Question's doing his own questioning, but we get to see the Question hunting people down, and we actually get this awesome thing at the beginning of the issue with Dial H.
Really?
Yeah, the issue begins with the crime boss is interrogating a guy who is talking about his dial and how he can dial H to become a hero, and they think it's a fake Dial H. But I think there's something else happening there, which is awesome because I'm a huge fan of Dial H.
And then the book's coming back soon too.
Yeah, it is. So I think this might be how it's tying in, is Action Comics is where it's starting. And then the Red Cloud, the Red Mist, is actually one of the reporters that Superman's been working, or Clark Kent's been working with at the Daily Planet. So there's a big reveal there. And then last week I read other or Wrong Earth #3. About basically the two Batmen.
Yeah.
That book's so good. I mean, it just gets better and better of how the Dark Knight is basically on the 60s Batman world. So that's awesome too. Yeah, I think that's it for me this week. Let me see what else I got.
So while you do that, I'll jump through Web of Venom Carnage Born #1. This is basically another issue of Venom. So if you're reading Venom, pick this up. It's written by Donny Cates. And it's kind of just a history of Carnage and who he is. I'm not a huge Carnage guy, but I've heard from people that this literally just goes beat for beat, like all the ridiculous shit that's happened to Carnage over the years. And sets him up to kind of be the villain for the next wherever he pops up in Venom. But it's probably a must-read for anyone that's not a big Carnage person and is reading Donny Cates' run. Marvel Knights #2, I'm still not quite sure what's going on in this book. Like, nobody knows who they are, except for now Daredevil kind of knows who he is. And Elektra's been pulled into this, and she's kind of resisting because she knows that she used to be a bad person, but now she's a good person and doesn't want to be a bad person. I was so excited for this book, and reading into it, it's reminding me of like Doomsday Clock. I'm reading it, and I want to know what's going on, but I have no fucking clue.
Classic.
So, yeah, the Drowned Earth. So we got like 3 issues of Drowned Earth to talk about.
Yeah, I read the one that came out this week was like the Scott Snyder issue.
Yeah, so basically, like, I don't know if I read the last issue, actually. I got Justice League 12 here, and then Aquaman 42.
Yeah, and then there was a Drowned Earth #1 that came out by Scott Snyder this week. That was the finale.
Okay, so that I haven't read yet, but
okay.
If you read Justice League 12, pick up Aquaman 42, because it lets you know what was happening to Aquaman when he got stabbed and quote-unquote died. And it just kind of fills in those gaps. And it was really cool.
I didn't read that issue, and then I read the last issue, and it was kind of just like, ignited my powers, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, you were stabbed through the chest last time I saw you.
Yeah. So I definitely recommend that if, we're a little late, but if you saw that and you saw Aquaman get stabbed in the chest, pick up Aquaman 42 first, read that, then jump into Justice League 12. Because it'll make things make a lot more sense. Middle West, this was a Scotty Young book. It's actually, I was looking forward to it, but I kind of entered it. You know when you have too much on your pull list? So whenever you get a new book, you're kind of finding a reason not to put it on your pull list.
Yeah, right.
That's how I entered with this book, and I ended up really liking it. So this kid lives with an abusive father. He has these friends he plays video games with. They live in the middle of nowhere. And it's kind of all about the relationship between him and his father. And then somehow magic gets involved, and his father turns into this giant cyclone-looking beast. And we're just kind of left there to figure out what happened. I really enjoyed it. I thought the art was fantastic, and recommend picking it up. Are you still reading Redneck?
No, I'm behind on. I'm like a few issues behind on Redneck right now.
Okay, Redneck 12. It was a wedding issue. It was interesting. It was more about the ceremony and how the vampires go about it and the unique way that they do it. And then we kind of get a tease for who the villain's going to be moving forward. Die 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 #5. Die 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 is fun. It's just a straight action book. And definitely recommend it. Fantastic Four #4. I like it. I like this now because it's back on Earth. We're no longer dealing with the intro storyline to get the team together. The team is together. They're on Earth. And they've met with this other team. But the big thing here is that they get their new headquarters. They're no longer in the Baxter building. We find out that Thing actually bought a building on Yancey Street, and that's going to be their new headquarters. And of course, it's got to be for Yancey Street. So that was a lot of fun. And then, if you have nothing else, we can do our huge spoiler talk on Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so anyone that didn't read Heroes in Crisis, remember you can find... Well, Mike, where can they find you on the internet?
Fortress Ricker on the Twitters. Where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me at Fortress Chris on the Twitter, and you can find the show at FCN_official or FortressComicNews.com, where everything we do is posted right there for your pleasure. Remember, you're watching us, give us a thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button. You'll be the first to know when a new Fortress Comic News podcast or video launches. And if you are listening to us, to give us a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever podcatcher you use, we really appreciate it. And for all those that don't want to be hugely spoiled on Heroes in Crisis number 3, we'll see y'all next week.
See ya.
All right, Mike, Heroes in Crisis. Let's do it.
All right. What an issue. There's a lot of stuff happening. Really sad thing with the what the hell's his name? Swamp Boy? Or
yeah.
He just basically he keeps getting blasted in the chest with the laser. And because that's what happened to the Teen Titans, I feel like, or some Teen Titans died around him or something like that.
Yeah, so essentially through the eyes of Blue Beetle, we get this kind of tour of what's going on in the sanctuary. Brewster Gold. I got Blue Beetle in the brain. And we learned the mask, the Psycho Pirate mask, is used as a kind of deterrent, so you don't have to reveal your identity.
Mm-hmm.
And they all live in these rooms where they can kind of go wherever they want, talk to whoever they want to talk to. And that's where we pick up with the Lagoon Boy, who's just reliving the moment where his friends died.
Yeah. Yeah, so you basically use the pirate mask to kind of help yourself cope with what's going on. It shows Wally West going through some stuff. And then, so Booster Gold tries out the room, and he has something that he has a secret, and we don't know why he's there, right? When he uses the pirate mask, the Psycho Pirate mask, it like makes another version of himself to talk to, which is like really weird.
Yeah, he just kind of wants to scream at himself. It's like he's mad about something he did.
Yeah. And then something starts happening where all the people are being killed, and at the end we find it's like Harley Quinn smashing people over the head with her hammer.
Yeah, I was confused by two things here. So we see Lagoon Boy out there, and he gets stabbed through the stomach with this spear-looking thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to think. And then the next panel, or next page, is Wally holding Arsenal. And then after that, it's Wally getting hit over the head with a hammer, and it's Harley Quinn sitting there.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think it's Harley killing everyone. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I almost wonder if Harley did it, but there's someone else involved. There's a third party somewhere.
Yeah, or she hit him because she thinks Booster Gold did it. I don't know. I don't think that's
that, or she thinks that Wally killed Arsenal. It's so.
Yeah, it's still very confusing, but that's how the issue ends. So I think the next issue we'll find out like what's happening or what happened. But
this really explains issue 1 as to why they were fighting and why they were like yelling at each other.
Yeah.
But dude, the book's so fucking good.
It is really good.
I have questions, and not in the manner of, and I hate picking on this book constantly, but it's not like doomsday clock where I don't know really what's going on. It's that I know what's going on, but I don't know where it's moving in front of me. So it's really just great work, Tom King.
Yeah. This guy, he knows how to write. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right, Mike. Well, that was another good episode. Everybody that stuck around, thanks.
Thanks for sticking around. Keep reading Heroes in Crisis for all that Booster Gold goodness.
And remember, keep on trucking.
Keep on reading and trucking. Don't read and truck at the same time. That's not good.
Yeah, it's hard. Trust me, I've tried it.